A conocernos. Buenos días. Ya vamos a empezar. Pues, what do you say to somebody when you first meet? When you see a friend? Well, in Spanish-speaking countries, it can be a little bit different. The first thing we're going to do is go to Página 7 in your book, and we're going to take a look at what this says. Oh, that's not it. And we're going to read this paragraph. I'm going to give you a second to read this paragraph, so you can pause this video now and then go down to Después de leer, this section right here, and answer these questions. So pause the video, read, and then we'll go over it together. Muy bien, después de leer, how would the following Spanish speakers probably greet and take leave of each other? Susana and Antonio, who are from Peru. Well, Peru is a Latin American country. And they would probably kiss each other once on the cheek. Juan and Alfonso, Mexico. Well, they're male friends, obviously. They probably greet male friends with a short hug in addition to a handshake. Señora González y Señora Burgos, Chile. They're on a last name basis only, so they probably just use a handshake. Elena y Linda, Spain. They probably give each other a kiss on the cheek. This is something that's really common, and if you travel to Spain or Latin America, you have to get used to people being a little bit closer than we're used to. We don't tend to kiss people on the cheek because that would be probably perceived as sexual harassment. But it's very, very common in Latin American countries and in Spain. When I lived in Mexico many, many, many years ago, it took me a second to get I don't want to say a second, it took me quite a while to get used to that idea. And it was very uncomfortable for me at first, but after a while, because you want to fit in, it just becomes something you do. So, how comfortable would you be greeting friends with one or two kisses on the cheek? Is that something that you think you could do? Imagining, of course, that there's, no social distancing or coronavirus. And how might it look if a person tried to greet with a kiss in the United States? We probably wouldn't perceive that very well. That's just not something we do. So we're going to go back to the PowerPoint and learn some other things we can say to greet people. And you can go to the vocab in your book. The vocab in your book is on page, I'm looking this up, page 28, and you can follow along. And there's also vocab in the first part of the chapters. Para empezar, tenemos. And I encourage you, because it's the first video, to repeat after I say it. Hola. Hola. The H is silent. Adiós. Adiós. Hola. Adiós. También, buenos días. Buenos días. Como ustedes van a notar, aquí hay acentos. Y acentos son importantes, muy importantes en español. Remember where the accents go. They're very important. Y el opuesto, buenos días y buenas noches. Buenos días, buenas noches. Una conversación. ¿Cómo estás? O ¿cómo está? Aquí hay una diferencia. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo está? ¿Cómo está es formal. You would use this with somebody you want to be formal with, respectful to, or somebody you don't know. Estás is informal. Informal. ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Y tú? ¿Y usted? Otra vez, ¿y tú? Informal, usted, formal. Pues, Estoy bien. Estoy bien. Estoy mal. Estoy mal. Estoy así, así. Otra vez, acentos. Así, así o regular. Regular. Estoy así, así o regular. I'm okay. Aquí tenemos ¿cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo Marco. Te informal. Informal. Me llamo Marco. I'm called Marco. Mucho gusto. El gusto es mío. Muchas gracias. De nada. Otra vez. ¿Cómo te llamas? Me llamo Marco. So the formal version of this would be, so you know, is ¿cómo se llama usted? This is the formal version. You want to be respectful or with people you don't know. Me llamo Marco. Mucho gusto. El gusto es mío. Muchas gracias. De nada. Vamos a practicar. Ya hicimos, we already did page 7. So we're going to go to 1, 1, 1, 2, and 1, 3, page 5 and 6. So I'm going to flip over to that so you don't have to. Oh, I think I went a little too far there. Muy bien. So I want you to go back to the illustration at the beginning of the chapter and see who is doing the following. And I'm going to do the same right here. Who is using an informal greeting? So let's look at Carmen y Alfonso. Carmen y Alfonso are where? Alfonso. Muy bien. ¿Y tú, cómo te llamas? How do we know if this is informal? Remember we said tú is informal, usted is formal. And here we see that Alfonso is using tú, right? So they are using an informal greeting. Carmen y Alfonso are using an informal greeting. Inés y la profesora Falcón. What do we see here? ¿De dónde es usted? We see usted right there, right? So they're using a formal greeting. Now, we do see the profesora Falcón is saying tú, so that is informal, but a professor speaking to a student would probably use tú, not because they don't respect them, but just because that's the way it is, whereas a student speaking to a professor would probably use usted. Is formally introducing one person to another. So here we have formally, so we have to look, right? Javier o Inés. Let's look at Javier. What does he say? Javier is saying, te presento a mi amiga Natalia. What's our key word there? We see te, right? Te goes with tú, so that is informal. What about Inés? She's using le presento. So le is formal. So let's go over here. We'll say te is informal. Te, tú, it all begins with a T, right? Le is formal. And these are direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, which we're not going to get to until much later in this course. So, bien. So we have Inés, right? Is introducing himself or herself. So Ana y Manuel, let's take a look. Well, there is no Ana. I think it means Linda. the textbook does have a lot of errors in it. So let's go with Linda y Manuel. Are they introducing themselves? Well, they're saying ¿Cómo estás? Is that introducing yourself? How are you? Not really, no. So that's not it. Alfonso y Carmen. Alfonso y Carmen. ¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? What's your name? Yes, so they are introducing themselves. Formally introducing one person to another, Javier o Inés. Let's look at Javier first. ¿Qué dice Javier? Javier dice, te presento a mi amiga Natalia. So he is introducing her, but is he doing it formally or not? What's our key word there? Our key word is te. Is te formal or informal? Te is informal. So he's not doing it formally. Inés is using le. So we know le is formal. Thus the answer here is Inés. Informally asking about somebody's origin. La profesora Falcón, she's saying, soy de Colombia y tú. No, I'm from Colombia. Y tú. So yes, so she's asking somebody's origin. She's saying, I'm from Colombia and you. Tú is informal. So she's doing that. Just to see what's Octavio saying. He's saying, ¿De dónde es usted, profesora? So he's asking where she's from, but is he doing it formally or informally, right? Well, we know le goes with usted, which is formal. So he's doing it formally, not informal. So the answer here is la profesora Falco. Cool, so we're going to go to 1.2, and I'm going to read you out some things, and you're going to decide if it's formal or informal. Remember, listen for those. Sorry, I have to find this here. Listen for the tes, the les, the usted, the etc. Right? So number 1. Buenas tardes, señora Beltrán. Buenas tardes, señorita. ¿Cómo está usted? Muy bien, gracias. So is this formal or informal? Do we have any key words there? We do. We heard usted. And we know usted is formal. ¿Cómo está usted? Número 2. Hola, Jorge, ¿qué tal? Andrés, ¿todo bien? Sí, muy bien. Bueno, hasta luego. So what's he saying? Hola, Jorge, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal is probably going to be informal. You use that mostly. I couldn't imagine asking like if you met, a professor you didn't know, asking them ¿qué tal? It would sound really weird, right? Because it's almost like saying, it means like how are you, but it's almost like saying like what's up. Something you wouldn't say, right? So it's informal. Número 3. Hola, Pedro. Marta, ¿qué hay de nuevo? No mucho. ¿Y tú cómo estás? Bien. Bueno, voy a la clase de cálculo. Sí, yo voy a una clase también. Hasta luego. Ciao. Do we hear any key words in there? We did. We heard a tú, right? Tú, te, informal. Number 4. Buenos días, señor López. ¿Cómo está usted, señora Soler? Bien, bien. ¿Y usted? Excelente. Gracias. Any key words in there? We heard a lot of usted, right? So that's got to be formal. Muy bien. So let's keep going. If you want to practice a little bit more with this, you can click here. You probably don't have access to the online stuff, unfortunately. Or you can just replay what I just said. So let's go to 1.3. So I am going to say something to you, and you're going to choose which one would be an appropriate response. Número 1. Hola. Hola. ¿Cuál es la respuesta? Es B. ¿Qué tal? Hola, ¿qué tal? Número 2. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? La respuesta es A. Muy bien. ¿Y tú? Número 3. ¿De dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres? La respuesta es B. Soy de México. ¿Y tú? So whenever you hear donde, as you'll know from your vocab list, donde means where. So you're looking for a location. 4. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Qué pasa? Pues nada. ¿Qué pasa significa like what's up? What's going on? Pues nada, nothing really. 5. Hasta mañana. Hasta mañana. La respuesta es C. Chao. Muy bien. Pues you guys are now capable of doing some homework, so I want you to go ahead in your workbook and do 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, and 1-5. I encourage you to use your vocab list and to do this as you move along and not leave it to the end. So go ahead and do that. Pues ya está. Nos vemos mañana.